The history of news and information in Nigeria is a very rich and diverse one, ranging from the oral storytelling tradition up onto the evolution of print and digital media. This presentation will be exploring on the evolution of news and information in Nigeria from the earliest days up until the present. We will be focusing on social media, specifically on Twitter, and how it poses threats and issues to journalism in this presentation. The oral storytelling tradition in Nigeria is deeply rooted in the diverse ethnic groups found in the country. The Yorubas have the oral storytelling tradition in their culture, as the storytelling culture is deeply rooted in their religious practices as well. The Igbos, the Ijaws, the Thieves, the Hausas also practice in the oral storytelling culture. The oral storytelling culture began to fade with the invasion of the Europeans in the 19th century.
When the European missionaries first came to Nigeria in the 19th century, of course, given that they were more advanced than we were, they came with a new form of literacy and education, and this included the use of print media in Nigeria. And one of the earliest forms of print media in Nigeria was the use of newspapers. Yeah, the first newspaper published in Nigeria was the Iwe Irohin, and it was published in Abeokuta in the year 1859. It was a vernacular newspaper. This means they specialized mainly publishing news stories on Yoruba language, not English, not Igbo or any other language, strictly the Yoruba language. By the 20th century, more newspapers were produced, varieties ranging from English, Igbo and various languages, and this was encouraged by the spirit of nationalism and independence from colonial rule. Thank you. Radio broadcasting in Nigeria began in the early 1930s, and soon a number of radio stations were established, including the Nigerian Broadcasting Service, the NBS, which was established in the year 1933. The NBS played a major role in promoting Nigerian culture and music and was an important source of news and information. With the advent of FM radio in the 1970s, the number of radio stations in Nigeria continued to grow, and radio became a powerful tool for communication and information sharing.
The first television station in Nigeria was the Nigerian Television Service, established in 1959. Now, it is suffice to say that this television was meant strictly for the promotion of unity and development in Nigeria. In 1979, we had other television stations that came up. The government-owned Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria and the private-owned African Independence Television. The overall purpose of the AIT and the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria was to shape the Nigerian media landscape and also aid and abet the process of covering major events like the Nigerian World War. In the 1980s and 1990s, the Nigerian media landscape was transformed by the arrival of new technologies such as the satellite television and the internet. The first satellite television station in Nigeria was African Magic, which was launched in Nigeria in the year 1994. The internet also began to have tremendous impact on Nigerians' media. Now, through this means, users could actually share and transfer information online. Now, we also have the growth of different social media platforms, the Twitter, the Facebook, and this gave rise to citizen journalism. Now, you have to stay tuned why my partner will have to usher you into the citizen journalism.
A news department is a central place where broadcasters, journalists, news anchors, reporters, where they meet to gather news to be published in a media organization. There exist components and roles within the news department, and one of it is the news director. Who is the news director? The news director, he is in charge of the news department. He oversees the entire news operation. He sets editorial policies and manages news teams. The next components of a news department are the producers. The producers, they are responsible for planning, they organize, they script news segments. They work closely with the reporters and anchors to create a news program. The next component is the camera, crew, and editors. These are professionals that handle the technical aspect of filming. They edit news story. They ensure high quality visuals and sound. The next component is the reporters. These are journalists who gather news stories by conducting interviews, research, field reports. They often appear on camera to present the news. The next component is the anchors. The news anchors are the faces of the news programs, like the people the audience engage with. Digital and social media teams. In modern day media landscape, news departments also manage digital and social media platforms to reach a broader online audience. Now we'll be throwing more light on these digital and social media aspects of broadcasting.
News programming refers to the content aired on television or radio channels that delivers current happenings, events, and information about the world. It typically consists of news reports, segments, and discussion presented by journalists and reporters. These news programs usually follow a structured format, starting with top stories or headlines, followed by detailed reports that provide context and analysis. Such news program includes live or recorded interviews with witnesses, experts, and individuals directly involved in the news stories. One of the key ways that news programming promotes transparency is by providing a platform for journalists to investigate and report on important matters. This creates a system for check and balances and enables the public to be informed about actions of those in power and evaluate their performance.
You've heard about the various forms of traditional media. You've heard about radio, TV, and even newspaper. But can I break it to you? There are platforms that combine these forms of media content, such as videos, such as pictures, and even text, into one. Social media platforms like Facebook, like Instagram, and even Twitter let you combine these forms of media content into one. And this, my dear listeners, is called convergence. This convergence has led to the rise of citizen journalism. Journalists now go about inform of citizens, covering news stories within and outside their locality. This citizen journalism didn't just come about with the rise of technology. It also came about due to the lack of trust in traditional news media outlets, and also due to the need of diverse perspective in the news coverage within and outside the nation. Amongst these social media platforms that can be used to disseminate news and also document them, one has positioned itself as the major platform for news dissemination and also documentation. That, my dear listener, is Twitter. Let me ask a question. How did you first hear about EndSARS protest? An educated guess to state that you first heard about it through social media platform, one being Twitter, using its hashtags. That is the power of Twitter. With over 500 million monthly active users, Twitter has positioned itself as a major social media platform for disseminating, documenting, and also obtaining news by citizen journalists. Yes, Twitter does have its advantages. Yes, we no longer have to sit and wait for 9 p.m. news. Yes, we can now obtain news however we wish, whenever we wish. However, there are certain issues, nuanced issues, that are not made known to the public that has to do with Twitter's algorithm. Twitter's algorithm is the brain of Twitter. It's what determines what users see. Users like you and I. It's what determines what we see on the platform. And this algorithm has certain issues that can come in order to harm the society in the short run or in the long run. Issue number one, controversial issues tend to go viral on Twitter. And this is harmful in the sense that people, in a quest for tweets, loves, and retweets, can form or shape untrue content and post it in a way that is savage just to gather this attraction. This is harmful in the sense that once the society continues to consume this form of misinformation and disinformation, their mentality is shaped, the public opinion is shaped, and the public policy in the long run is affected. Issue number two, algorithm adaptation. Twitter tends to push to you content that you engage with. While this is good in the form of determining what content we see on our screen, it can also be harmful. Let's take, for example, I see a savage content on my screen and I go into the comment section to challenge it. Twitter Twitter notes this engagement as a form of disapproval, not minding the fact that I am going to challenge that particular content. Then they tend to saturate my skin with this kind of harmful content that can mold my mindset in a form that is not exactly useful to the society. Therefore, the more society continues to consume this kind of controversial content, savage posts, so on and so forth, the mentality of that society is shaped in a way that doesn't exactly benefit the country or nation. Issue number 3. The algorithm may tend to push out biased content that reenacts preconceived or pre-existing beliefs of its users, blocking them from seeing the holistic view of a particular issue. For example, let's take for a fact that I am Igbo and then there is an ethnic clash between the Igbo and Yoruba tribe. Twitter's algorithm may tend to push content that align with my pre-existing belief, blocking me from seeing the holistic view of that particular situation. This may tend to foster conflict within the nation or other form of harmful scenarios that may not even affect us positively in the long run.
I'll be speaking on the advantages of Twitter as a platform for citizen journalism. But before I start that, I would like to give a background of what Twitter is. Now, Twitter is one of the most common social media platform that we have. Is popularly known as X now. It was created in 2006 by Jack Dorsey. Now, Twitter is a platform where people get to tweet short messages, and it could include text, images, videos, and links. Now, moving forward, I will be talking about the advantages of Twitter as a platform for citizen journalism. Now, the first advantage is that it is a platform where people get to share information to a large number of people, a large audience, a mass audience. Secondly, Twitter is a platform where users get to connect with others who have similar interests as them, and then they build relationships. Thirdly, Twitter helps users follow breaking events as they happen. So I'll be leaving my colleague to finish from where I started.
I'll be talking about the advantages of Twitter. And one of the advantages of Twitter are what? The real-time reporting. When we talk about real-time reporting, we see that citizen journalism often have the ability to what? Report events as they what? Unfold, the events that happen at the very moment. This immediacy can be particularly valuable in situation where traditional journalists can't go. Another second advantages of Twitter is the ability to what? Hold authorities accountable. We say that citizen journalism have the ability to hold authorities accountable by means of what? Serving as a watchdog. When we talk about serving as a watchdog, we talk about that citizen journalism tend to what? Investigate or look into government activities with a motive of what? Uncovering certain vices and behaviors which the government doesn't want people to know. By way of doing this, they tend to what? Uncover things that are known to the public. The diverse perspective. Citizen journalism brings about a wide range of perspective and experience to the world's news landscape, enhancing the overall understanding of an event or issue by allowing individuals from all different backgrounds and communities to contribute towards news reporting.
Disadvantages of Twitter as a platform for citizen journalism. First point, lack of gatekeeping in citizen journalism. Lack of gatekeeping, we have 1. Credibility and quality control. Without regulatory bodies, there is no standardized process of ensuring the accuracy, reliability, or ethics of citizen journalism. This absence can lead to misinformation, biased reporting, or the spread of unverified content. Secondly, we have ethical concerns. Journalistic ethics, like protecting sources, avoiding conflict of interest, maintaining privacy, might not be consistently upheld without regulatory oversight. This can result in ethical lapses, breaches, affecting the quality and integrity of the news. Thirdly, we have legal implications. Without regulatory guidelines, citizen journalists might inadvertently infringe on legal boundaries like libel, defamation, or copyright. This can expose both journalists and the platforms hosting their content to legal risks. Fourthly, we have accountability and responsibility. In the absence of regulatory bodies, there might be a lack of accountability for false or harmful content. This can lead to a culture where citizen journalists feel less responsible for the impact of their reporting.
Another disadvantage of Twitter as a platform for citizen journalism is the usage of sensationalism. Sensationalism is a tactic used in order to gain the public attention. It is mostly used by citizen journalists who do not follow the ethics of journalism. It is used to invoke emotions from the public, be it either fear or anger. There are many uses of sensationalism, but I'm going to name a few. We have the headlines. When it comes to magazines and websites, the headlines are what mostly attracts the attention of the public. So these online bloggers use it as to their own advantage in order to gain views, followers, or at least for people to notice their content. The next, we have fear-mongering. Fear-mongering is the act of prying or playing with people's feelings, their fears, their prejudice, or their biases in order for them to notice their contents.
Social media and media convergence has led to the rise of citizen journalism, with Twitter being the foremost platform for the dissemination of news and information. Just like one of my colleagues earlier mentioned, this poses some issues. For instance, Twitter tends to promote controversial posts and content, all for the sake of engagement. And sometimes they reenact pre-existing bias in people, thereby restricting holistic views of situations. This begs the question, in the 21st century, is Twitter beneficial to journalism, or are we better off without it?